A special live stream in that this will be my 100th draft this offseason if we are going to be looking at Best Ball Mania and the puppies. So going to be exciting. Also, we are having to start to put some pressure on ourselves because if you are 100 drafts in, oh my gosh, if we come out here and if we have a bad draft, we have no excuses. Like, we've had more reps than anybody. We should be having top tier drafts only from here on out. And yeah, let's not waste any time. Let's just hop right into this. Let's go over to Underdog Fantasy. Real quick, I will point this out. Please don't go bet on some mess like WNBA player props that you know nothing about. But Underdog, to get people to sign up and to get people excited about the NBA Finals right now, is running a promo. Steph Curry, half a three-pointer made. He's going to hit a three. Just go through, take that over, bet 25 bucks on it, get a free 25. But let's move this along. Let's hop into a draft here. And I think that we are probably just going to end up getting into a puppy draft. That's going to be one of the $5 drafts that you have $75,000 at first. Of course, first place gets paid in your 12-team league. Second place gets paid in your 12-team league. But a small percentage of every league pot is set aside for that massive tournament at the end. But yeah, we are joining this with 10 spots open. So we have some bad news. We are going to be drafting with almost exclusively people from the flock, which will suck because the drafts are much more difficult whenever I'm drafting with y'all. But looks like we are going to be picking at the 106. If we look at the names here, okay, Thomas is out here. Happy to see Thomas. Falony is out here. We have Firestarter. We have Clutch Cow. We have Zach Monty. We have Caden. We have Taco Supreme, I believe, is a part of the flock as well. So we have a decent amount of flock members in this draft, which will make things difficult. But hell, it is what it is. Like I said, we are closing in on 100 drafts at this point. So if I'm not coming away with good drafts by now, y'all should probably unsubscribe to the channel and just stop listening to me entirely. And I will send out the link to Underdog Fantasy for anybody wanting to get into our next draft there in the chat. You can also find it in the description or in the comment section. Caden says that jacket fire emojis. Yeah, I've had the jacket for a while. It's hard for me to go away from the suit, though. Y'all know how much I love that suit. But let's pull this up. And why is my window looking weird today? Window's looking weird. Okay, 101 on the clock. Okay, let's run through this. 101, I'm going to go Jonathan Taylor. Oh, genius, obviously. Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Cooper Kupp. I think Thomas goes McCaffrey. No, he goes Kupp over McCaffrey. Okay, so CMC, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and then we will be stuck with a real decision at the 106. The 106 is where you can actually come through and you can make an argument one way or another. Caden says, digging your hoodie, man. Those are actually sick. Yeah, Underdog also gave me a budget this year where I can create a flock and Underdog merch collab. Now, I don't know what that would look like. I am not creative enough to be in charge of that. But if you would be interested in some Underdog Fantasy / Flock Network merch, let me know, and maybe, just maybe, I can start working on that. Okay, so let's go through. Thomas says, the wide receivers left at the 211, I don't like more than the running backs. I completely agree with you, man. I think that there's a fair argument to be made as well to take Justin Jefferson over CMC. If you're just looking at the fact you can get Nick Chubb in the third round. That's why, I'm going here with Stephon Diggs to the 106. You're getting Travis Kelce at the 108. You are going to see Kelce. You're going to see Andrews probably go a little bit earlier in this draft than most. Derrick Henry goes to the 109. It is funny to see that Derrick Henry started off the season being drafted higher than Austin Eckler. And I think people have finally realized Eckler's the better pick. Eckler goes before Derrick Henry in almost every single draft at this point. Okay. Falony says, Mason, I'm still waiting on a flock hat. It never came up. My man, if you sent me an address, obviously I had a crap ton of flock hats sent out last year. I don't know if you're referring to you won one on the video, if you bought one, if you want a flock hat, they're on flockfantasy.com. You can find the link in the description. Okay, so Mark Andrews, Mike Evans at the 1-2 turn. Really like this combination because nobody else is going to have the combination of Andrews and Evans. I mean, you have Mike Evans with an ADP of 18, I believe. Mark Andrews with an ADP of 16. And you can easily see it in the range of outcomes. Mike Evans, a top 5 wide receiver finish. If you're looking at this team with an injured Chris Godwin, no Antonio Brown. Hell, if somehow Mike Evans is a top 5 wide receiver, or in week 17, where you need that spike week, all of a sudden Mike Evans comes out and has 2 receiving touchdowns, and Mark Andrews does as well, you're probably going to be one of the only, if not the only person in the entire tournament with that combination. Okay, so Mixon goes at the 204. Let's pull this up, figure out where we are going to be drafting. Deebo Samuel goes at pick 17. We're probably going to make a crazy pick here. No, I'm tired of doing that. I'm tired of doing that on the live stream. Maybe I'll try something new. This is not my favorite pick in the second round. I actually just recorded a video that comes out in about a week on why I am not a fan of DeAndre Swift's price tag this year. Now, I will say, y'all know I loved me DeAndre Swift last year when we were getting him at the end of the third because people were freaking worried about Jamal Williams. And we were looking at the overall weapons that you had in Detroit going, okay, well, DeAndre Swift is going to be heavily involved as a receiver here. It doesn't matter if Jamal Williams gets some of these carries out of the backfield. Well, now that you replace Khalif Raymond with DJ Chark, now that you add in Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown going into year 2, TJ Hawkinson presumably all season, I think you probably have DeAndre Swift taking a step back with his role in the receiving game, yet you're having to pay a higher price tag on DeAndre Swift now. Like, I personally prefer Aaron Jones over DeAndre Swift, which is kind of crazy to say. Aaron Jones does have a later ADP. Here in this draft, Aaron Jones goes first. That's why I'm going to be stuck with DeAndre Swift. But real quick, let me make this announcement. If you have not done so already, please go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. You can find the link in the description. You can find it in the live chat. When you go and sign up to Underdog Fantasy and you use promo code FLOCK, they will match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. But more importantly, you can have some fun. Get in the live streams with us. Go draft these teams. Go draft them in the public lobby. You'll also get our 2022 rankings, our Dynasty rankings, our Dynasty Rookie ranks, our Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide when you use promo code FLOCK. But as I said, the most important thing is you're going to have a crap ton of fun on Underdog drafting real money fantasy drafts. Like I said, I've almost done 100 of these bad boys, and these contests launched, I don't even know if it's been a month ago, maybe like 3 weeks ago. Okay. So, I guess we're going Chubb. We're going Nick Chubb, pick 30 at the 306. Speaking of unique combinations for this tournament, I doubt too many people are going to have the combo of Stephon Diggs, who usually goes to the 1-2 turn, and Nick Chubb here. Of course, I would have preferred Josh Allen to get the stack with Diggs. You know I wanted to bring in Diggs, and I actually considered taking T. Higgins at the 207. That way we could target that Week 17 matchup. I just didn't want to have to be sitting there like an idiot if Josh Allen didn't make it back to us. And I know that when I'm drafting with y'all are probably going to push up Allen just slightly. So I'm kind of happy we went with Swift. An interesting start. I'm not used to going with running backs in the second and third round here. Okay. Oliver says, my man's talked about Underdog more than he's talked to his own mother. 100%. 100%. You want me to come out here on the live stream and start talking about my mother? Are you kidding me? You kidding me, big fella? No, we're here to talk about Underdog. We're here to get in some of these Underdog drafts. Okay, so we have a wide receiver run happening here at the end of the third. That's what you expect every single time when you're in the third round. This is nothing new. It really just comes down to who are you preferring in this range. And I've noticed less than half of y'all have dropped a like in this live stream. I don't know why, but everybody who watches our Dynasty channel smashes that like button. Compared to over here, it's like, kind of whatever. Now, Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton go at the 3-4 turn. I've seen a ton of teams doing this as of late. I've been in like 5 or 6 drafts today, and I swear to God, half of the teams went at the 3-4 turn to quote unquote reach for both Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton. It makes sense. If you're going to go all in on Denver, you just have to make sure you get Russell Wilson a little bit later on. But let's see what happens. We are in the midst of a massive wide receiver run, and we have 2 running backs already. Like, it's not a good thing for us to see all these wide receivers flying off the board. Okay. So best available, James Conner, Patrick Mahomes, Ezekiel Elliott, Darren Waller, Cam Akers, DK Metcalf. And stacks, we have none. I mean, we took Diggs. Allen's already off the board in the 3rd round, so can't really think too much about stacks. Metcalf goes to the 404. These wide receivers continue to fly. Mahomes off the board. Clutch cow on the clock. He's gone Austin Eckler, Aaron Jones through the first 2 rounds, and he grabbed a Jalen Waddle here in the 3rd. Y'all know what I wanted. Y'all know I wanted that elite level tight end. Bringing in Darren Waller. Now, yes, we still need wide receiver help. Yes, we desperately need receivers. But there's a big but on this. Drafting Darren Waller here is going to allow us to only draft 2 tight ends, which is going to open up another roster spot for the wide receiver position a little bit later on. So while it looks like we may be behind the 8 ball at the wide receiver position, grabbing an elite tight end, I actually think gives us an edge there later on when people are going to have to draft 3. Henry says Connor at the 403. Wow. Yeah. Like, James Conner is kind of stuck in no man's land where he is like the only running back in that group of receivers. I don't think you can put James Conner in the same tier as Nick Chubb, Javonte Williams, Saquon Barkley, Leonard Fournette. I don't think he belongs in the Zeke or Cam Akers tier either. So James Conner is always just going dependent on where your league's going to value wide receivers. And looks like this draft room is going wide receivers heavy. Dylan says, yo, can I get that sweatshirt somewhere? Like I said, Underdog, we're probably going to do some combined merch sometime soon. It's not going to be sold. It wouldn't be sold. What it would end up being is just if you've used promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, maybe we make like 100 of these and I go through and give away 100 just to random emails who signed up to Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK. With promo code FLOCK. It will also probably have the little bird on it. But if anybody wants to create a little mock design, if anybody wants to create what that would look like and send it over to me, hell, do not hesitate. Do not hesitate. Okay, so George Kittle ends up going at the 502 to Thomas, who also gets Amari Cooper. You have to really like Thomas's build here so far. Interesting to see Gabriel Davis at the 412. I can't get behind it. I can't take Gabriel Davis there. And ladies and gentlemen, we are stuck in an interesting situation. My gut screaming at me saying, Mason, take Lamar Jackson, get the Russian quarterback in here. We don't necessarily need to worry about a stack whenever we have Lamar, and this will allow us to build around only 2 quarterbacks and 2 tight ends. However, we are on pick 54. Akers has an ADP of 42. Usually I take Lamar. Usually I'm going to take Lamar. But it is what it is. You're never getting Cam Akers at the 506. And we have continued to go through and pass on these wide receivers. So this is getting a little nerve-wracking here, where we are 5 rounds through and we do not have a single wide receiver. This is why I don't like drafting with y'all, because usually by now I have my elite quarterback, I have my elite tight end, I have probably 2 wide receivers and a running back, or 3 wide receivers from there. We are taking our usual strategy, throwing it out the window about as far as it can go, and we're saying, hell, let's try something new because y'all are going to give us that value. I mean, how many teams are going to have the combination of Nick Chubb, Darren Waller, and Cam Akers? How many teams have that combo? Probably very, very few. Okay, so Kyler Murray ends up going at the 5'10". Obviously, I'd really enjoyed getting Kyler Murray making it back to us, but there's no way in hell that's happening. Kyler Murray always goes here at the end of the 5th. And this is why I was speaking on previously. Like, if you're the Hollywood Brown drafter, like, yeah, you took Hollywood Brown at the 311. Obviously, you're eyeing Kyler Murray to make it back to you, but you can't reach on Kyler at the beginning of the 4th. While, yes, it guarantees that you get that stack, you need to be making sure that you're getting that stack at least at ADP or behind ADP. At or behind ADP. Okay, so Rashad Bateman, Josh Jacobs go. Okay, good. We want to see Josh Jacobs off the board. Usually when we go wide receiver heavy, I am getting Josh Jacobs in the middle of the 6th round, which is really exciting. And I think probably one of the highest floor and ceiling combination picks that you're going to have in the 6th. I mean, if you're taking Josh Jacobs behind Juju Smith-Schuster, behind Rashad Bateman, you have to be pretty damn exciting. Okay, so Russell Wilson at the 601. Okay, so Taco Supreme, they are going to go through. They are going to reach. I mean, keep in mind, this is a team that took Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton at the 3-4 turn. Like, what else are you expecting here? Okay, so it looks like some people are asking who we took in the first round. Let me show the entire draft board for people just now coming in. And if you are just now coming in, please make sure you go down there and drop a like on the live stream. If this live stream gets 150 likes, we will get another draft going after this. 150 likes, we'll get another draft going after this one. Okay, so Treylon Burks at the 603. And so people saying that stacks don't matter, yada, yada, yada. You can argue that maybe in a typical fantasy football league, stacks are a little bit overvalued. Maybe you can try to argue that. But if you're coming out here and if you're looking at a format that has that tournament playoff setting at the very end, stacks matter. I can guarantee you, I can promise you, literally been on RotoViz. We've played with their tools. We've looked at points distributions. And I can tell you right now, stacks are going to lower your floor, but they are going to raise your ceiling. And that's what you need in that tournament style. And dear God, what are we doing here? Okay, Clutch Cow ended up taking Lamar when we passed on him. They go Elijah Moore. So we are 6 rounds through. We are 6 rounds through. And we have not taken a wide receiver outside of Stephon Diggs. We're going Jalen Hurts here. Keep in mind, while we say we want to chase those stacks, the players that I am fine taking at the quarterback position at ADP, even if we don't have a single pass catcher on their team, are going to be Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts, because so much of their production is going to come from rushing the football. That's where you're going to be getting that elite level ceiling from. So it doesn't really matter if their wide receivers hit. They can still be elite fantasy options. So getting Jalen Hurts here will allow us to only have to draft 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends. At the very most, we are drafting 5 running backs now. So this is going to be a 2-5-9-2 build, where we'll have an elite quarterback, we'll have an elite tight end, well, some pretty damn good running backs as well, but wide receiver is going to be gross. We just have to take advantage of it with best ball. Okay, so Michael says, puppy draft, ? If you sign up, do you draft immediately? Okay, so if you sign up for like a puppy draft, you just have to wait until the 12-team draft fills. So like if you watch this on a live stream, the second we enter, it's going to it's going to fill in 3 seconds because we have like 200 people watching this wanting to hop in. But if you're just in the public lobby, like if I'm going to enter in a contest before I go to the gym, usually it takes about 45 to 90 seconds to fill, depending on the time of day that you were entering. Okay, but we have a little bit of a wide receiver run happening here on the turn. You have Hunter Renfrow going way earlier than his ADP. Stafford goes at the 703. Yeah, we need wide receivers to make it back, and it looks like it is not happening, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like we may be boxed out. Ayuk goes. Are we going to go with the hyper-fragile build? If we take Elijah Mitchell here, can we be done drafting running backs at 4? I can't take Sky Moore. I can't do it. I'm not taking Sky Moore at pick 78. We are going to go Elijah Mitchell. It is gross. We are going to go with the hyper-fragile build. I never draft running backs this early, but when you do, you need to make sure you stop doing it. So now we are no longer drafting RB. It is what it is. This is what happens when I get in drafts with y'all. We have to deviate from our strategy just a little bit because it looks like everybody's trying to do the same exact thing here. And if everybody's trying to do the same exact thing, you are going to be forced to zig when other people zag. I don't want to act like we're excited about this. I do not want to act like this is exciting. I will say it's a unique team. I think it has a lot of upside. Oh, it's just tough. Keep in mind, drafting and building around 4 running backs and 4 running backs alone is going to really lower your floor. Like if you look at your advanced rate to getting to that tournament at the very end of the season, if you only have 4 running backs, your advanced rate is not going to be great. But the thought process here, the person who won Best Ball Mania 2 years ago only had 4 running backs on their roster. It's called a hyper-fragile build. That way you can roster additional wide receivers who inherently have more volatility and a higher ceiling on a week-to-week basis. And you can try to capture those spike weeks specifically during the final few weeks when you're in that massive tournament with everybody else. So yes, it's going to lower your expected value. It's going to lower your median projection. But if we're talking about your 99th percentile outcome, in theory, it's supposed to make that a little bit better. Okay, so yeah, we have a running back run happening here. Hawkinson and Dalton Schultz going off the board at the 707 and the 710. Good for us. I will say, you kind of expected running backs to go here. You all saw the wide receivers that were on the board. Just horrendous. I mean, nobody's going to be taking Sky Moore over A.J. Dillon. Nobody's going to be taking Sky Moore over T.J. Hawkinson. And if you are, you should fix your life. You should not be doing that. Noah says, what's up with your bad self a week in time? Thank you, my man, for coming out. And of course, thank you for everything y'all have done. And if you don't know, guys, Noah, you can see him, the moderator in the chat, made us this and made us this. So if everybody could give him a massive thank you, I would appreciate it. Okay, so we have Damian Harris off the board. Thank God Damian Harris is off here. We do not need to be looking at him at the top of ADP when we get back on. So now looks like we are 4 picks away. Tony Pollard's off of the 803. Okay, good. Brady is an ADP of 78. Brady is gone. I was going to say, it would be very difficult for us to go with the Tom Brady here. Zach has 3 wide receivers with Debo, Michael Pittman, and Drake London. 2 running backs with London and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Okay, so they have a double stack with CEH and Travis Kelce. Okay, yeah, we are going to go Russell Gage. 99% of these drafts, I'm not taking Russell Gage. 99% of these drafts, I'm drafting Kenneth Walker here instead, because usually we got wide receivers earlier on, but didn't happen. We're going to take Gage, say, hell, we know he's going to be in a hyper-productive passing offense that's going to be top 5 in pace of play and top 5 in passing rate, at least we can assume, in game-neutral environments. And you have Antonio Brown gone. You have Chris Godwin injured. Let's just fire up Gage. Okay, so Cordell Patterson, Kenneth Walker at the 809, 810. Thank you. They were at the top of ADP. Not a big deal seeing them go off the board, but it is nice. It's at least a little comforting. Okay, so Thomas is yet to go with the quarterback. I wonder, he was probably hoping he got Trey Lance making it back to him. I mean, when you get Kittle at the 502, he ends up going with Kareem Hunt. Like, I can't tell you how many drafts I have Kenneth Walker and Kareem Hunt with. And it's because usually in this range, I'm looking for RB, but just a different draft overall. Henry says, Walker at the 809 seems late. Seems like an even more wide receiver heavy draft. That's what happens when you're drafting with the flock. That's what happens when you hop into one of these drafts in the live stream. It does make things awkward, but it probably creates exciting builds like what we have here. I mean, just showing this off, I don't want to act like it's great or anything, but I mean, we have Darren Waller at tight end. We have Jalen Hurts at quarterback. At running back, we have Swift, Chubb, Akers, Elijah Mitchell. We have Stephon Diggs, Russell Gage. Hopefully we can piece together some more wide receivers. Derek Carr would have been someone we were interested in later on, getting the stack with Darren Waller, but it is what it is. We just got to move on, and probably would take Dallas Goedert here if he made it back to us, considering we have Jalen Hurts and we are only going to be drafting 2 tight ends. We're drafting 10 wide receivers with this team. We're drafting 10. Keep in mind, you don't submit a starting lineup here. Just at the very end of every single week, the automatic best starting lineup is submitted for you. So hopefully if we have 10 of these guys, we have a random, we have Stephon Diggs to plug and play there every single week. So hopefully we have 2 more guys randomly popping in just based on their spikes. Okay, so we're going to go either Dallas Goedert or Garrett Wilson, whoever they leave us with. I feel like, yeah, they go Goddard, so we are going to end up with Garrett Wilson here as our wide receiver 3. Hopefully we get some of these running backs off the board by the time we are back up. We have 12 picks until we are on the board. 12 picks until we are on the clock. Kadarius Toney goes directly after us at the 907. Caden says, I usually hate going running backs in the first 2 rounds, but this is working out. Let's go through and let's check out Caden's team here. Caden's going to be San Diego's finest. Okay, Derrick Henry here at the 109. I'm sure he was wanting Austin Eckler to make it to him. Then you have Joe Mixon at the 204. Then slamming Mike Williams at pick 33. DK Metcalf, pick 40. Juju, pick 57. Darnell Mooney, 64. A.J. Dillon, great value at pick 81. He brings in Brady. You don't have a stack with Tom Brady, but at the end of the day, you have such a good value pick with Brady at pick 88, where if you look at the expected value you're getting from Tom Brady versus Joe Burrow at pick 70, probably there's not much of a gap, and you can still go through after you take Tom Brady here, and you could still end up getting Rob Gronkowski a little bit later, or you could possibly bring in a Rachaad White. There are a couple different options that you could have. Yeah, I really like the team. Robert Woods at the 909 as well. Okay, so Rodgers goes at pick 106. I don't want to say it's bad, but it is funny to now see Derek Carr go before Aaron Rodgers in every single draft. Like, do y'all ever see Rodgers go before Carr now? I feel like it's almost standard. Keep in mind, if you're taking Rodgers, usually you don't have many Green Bay pass catchers on your roster already. Like, Rodgers does go in the same round as Allen Lazard, as Christian Watson, whereas once you take Devontae Adams, once you take Darren Waller in your draft, you kind of already go through and you queue up Derek Carr going, okay, this is a quarterback that we're getting later on. I think inherently that does push up his ADP. Okay, Rondale Moore goes at pick 109. So running backs, best available. Usually I'm taking Singletary. Usually I'm taking Chase Edmonds. Usually I'm taking Melvin Gordon. Here we can't. Here we have, these are the only positions we can draft. These are the only guys I can draft. Caden can almost go anywhere he wants. I wonder if he goes tight end. No, he goes Tyler Boyd. Zach here has Dobbins and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'd imagine he ends up going with the running back probably. Okay, I was going to say Devin Singletary. He goes Chase Edmonds. And then here, Clutch Cow, I'm sure can go in a couple different ways. I don't know which way he decides. Oh, we did not queue up Kenny Golladay. It doesn't really matter. We are going to end up taking Jameson Williams here. Another rookie wide receiver to pair up with Garrett Wilson. Hopefully, here's how it lines up. You have Russell Gage as a pretty solid contributor at the beginning of the season when there's no Chris Godwin in Tampa. And then by the time Jameson Williams comes back, by the time Russell Gage fades a little bit, Williams can slide into that wide receiver 3 role. This is what I'm telling myself. In reality, we probably have some crappy wide receivers here. Zach says, yo, I need that hoodie. Like I said, what we'll probably do is Underdog did give me a budget where I can create that co-merch, Flock merch and Underdog merch combined. If y'all can whip up a little design for me, y'all can figure that out for me. Hell, I'll be happy to make like 100 hoodies and send them out to just random people who signed up to Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK from the time we launched the partnership. Okay, so Deshaun Watson goes at the 10-11. Let's see. Did Thomas take another quarterback? No, he did not. But he also has Amari Cooper. So he's getting the Amari Cooper, Kareem Hunt, Deshaun Watson double stack. I love that. I actually did something very similar in a draft earlier today. I think taking Hunt and Watson on the same team is really intriguing because we know that Hunt is going to derive the majority of his value based on what he provides as a receiver. I mean, if you go back to what he did in 2019, whenever he came back from suspension, he was used legitimately as just a slot wide receiver in Cleveland. I mean, this is someone that averaged almost more targets per game than he actually had carries per game. Okay. So Alberto coming out says, what's the promo code? Trolling us for the 10th time, but Alberto, thank you, my man. I know you maybe think it's funny, but I think it's great. If I can dive in to this promo code, go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK. When you sign up at Underdog Fantasy, use promo code FLOCK. You can have some fun. You can hop into these drafts with us, hop into some drafts in the public lobby. And at the same time, you'll get our rankings. You'll get a deposit bonus. You get everything. You can find the link in the description. And Noah says, I could get Randy to mock something up for some good designs. My man, I would love that. I would love that. And of course, you know, I'd be happy to send you and Randy any merch we have. Okay, so Tim Patrick, Van Jefferson at the beginning of the 11th. Let's pull this back up. Rashad Penny never goes at his ADP. Rashad Penny hasn't had an ADP of 117 for I don't know how long now. And I don't think I've ever seen Rashad Penny go earlier than pick like 125. Okay. Kirk Cousins ends up going. Kenny Golladay does as well. We're just going to continue to go wide receiver. I don't overthink it. We need to bring in receivers. We need to reach on these players. It is what it is. I would rather reach on Devontae Parker here slightly and take him over someone like Rashad Penny compared to where we are having to reach on sky more if we wanted a wide receiver in the middle of the draft. So we're just going to continue to bring in these options, continue to build this room with quantity over quality. Henry says, when I listen to the quote-unquote experts, so many of them still talk about Penny being the starter. I actually kind of agree with people if they are going to say Rashad Penny's the starter. Rashad Penny probably does start training camp, starts the preseason, starts the regular season as the running back one on the depth chart. Now, of course, Rashad Penny, outside of a 6-game stretch at the end of this past season, has never in his entire career since being drafted out of San Diego State in 2018 shown the ability to stay healthy. On top of this, the team invested significantly into Kenneth Walker with that second-round selection this upcoming season. So I've been drafting Kenneth Walker aggressively. It doesn't really matter that Rashad Penny is the quote-unquote starter on paper, because who knows how long that's going to last. Okay, so Fallon says, what do you think of my 103 build? Let's go through and let's check out the 103 here. It's going to be a Jamar Chase team. My man, I personally cannot take Jamar Chase over Jefferson. Like, if you want to go wide receiver here so you can get Alvin Kamara in the second, I'm fine with it, but I'm personally going to go Jefferson. Kamara at the 2-3 turn, Keenan Allen as well. I think I'm going to go A.J. Brown over Allen. Allen Robinson here at the end of the fourth, fine with it. I personally probably would go Godwin, but that's just me. Or actually, no, I would definitely go Kittle. I think if I had to pinpoint what I did not like about this team, I think going with Allen Robinson over George Kittle here is a very, very bad call. Kittle just unlocks that 2 tight end build for you. Like, if you take Allen Robinson, it doesn't really change anything for your strategy throughout the rest of the draft. I know you were able to get Stafford here at the 703, but you're having to reach on Stafford. If you passed on him, possibly these quarterbacks slid down a little bit and you could get Lance making it back if that's where you took Kittle. Yeah, I think overall, I'm not a fan of the Jamar Chase pick, and I would definitely prefer Kittle over Allen Robinson. Okay. Well, good thing we passed on tight ends a little bit earlier on, because this is where I guess all the values lying at tight end. We're going to go ahead and, well, we'll see who we end up with, but Zach Monty on the clock, 1 quarterback, 1 tight end, 4 running backs, 5 receivers. He goes Jahan Dotson. Okay, so we were probably going to go Dotson if he made it to us, but now that Dotson's not there, we will go ahead and we will take Gesicki. He does have a different bye week than Darren Waller. We want a respectable tight end in case Darren Waller were to go down. And also, maybe we need a player sliding in one of the flex spots 1 week because we have a crappy wide receiver room. But Cole Kmet goes directly after Michael Carter goes at pick 141. I saw Michael Carter in a draft earlier this morning go after pick 160. It's like, oh, looks like I'm going to continue to draft Michael Carter Jr. if his ADP continues to fall. Again, like I said, guys, we will get another draft going after this one if this live stream gets 150 likes. So please, it's free. Just go down there, drop that like on the live stream. I'd be happy to get another draft going after this one. You have Robert Tunyon at the 12-11. Henry asking if we're ever drafting on those high-stakes sites. Honestly, the time commitment doesn't make sense for me. If you know, I work over 80 hours a week during the season. I already have 20 dynasty leagues. And for the ROI on my time during the fantasy football season, it just doesn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense for me. Okay, so DJ Chark goes at the 12-12. I would have liked DJ Chark to make it back to us in the middle of the 13th when we had Jameson Williams to build in a little bit of correlation in Detroit and at the same time possibly get some cover up for the lack of production at the beginning of the season from both Jameson Williams as well as Garrett Wilson. Has this team Giants Mez been on auto draft? Okay, no. It looked like they auto drafted this past pick, but no, they reached on Derek Carr. They've been taking players ahead of ADP. Okay, so now we are no longer looking at a running back or tight end. We are strictly wide receiver and quarterback from here. David Bell goes to the 1302. Darrell Henderson, another running back I've been drafting a lot. I don't even know. So if we were to go quarterback, really the only stack option we would have with this team would be Goff, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, I guess. So you know what? We're probably not dying to take Trevor Lawrence here. Okay, YouTube or you best not reach. Okay. You best not reach on the clock. They have 3 RBs, 5 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, 2 quarterbacks. Great 2 quarterback combo. I wonder if they end up having to go 3 tight ends, if their tight ends are Dallas Goedert and Cole Kmet. We'll go ahead. We'll take Jalen Tolbert here. It looks like we're just going to, you know what? No, we're not going to take Tolbert. We're going to quote-unquote reach on Corey Davis. We already have a player in Jameson Williams missing the beginning part of the season. We have Garrett Wilson as well. If we take Corey Davis, we can set ourselves up for the double stack with Zach Wilson a little bit later on. And it's, I think, awkward on a team like this to continue to grab those secondary rookie wide receivers, especially if one of those guys that we already took was Jameson Williams, who will miss the beginning of the season. Okay, so Trevor Lawrence does indeed go at the 1308. I think I'm almost positive we get Zach Wilson making it back to us if we do want to take Zach Wilson in the middle of the 14th. I hope he has a different bye week than Jalen Hurts. We'll still end up going with him, even if it's the same. Okay, Caden on the clock, pick 153. He goes Jalen Tolbert. Jalen Tolbert was the best available wide receiver according to ADP. Albert O off the board at 154. Good for us. We need to see these tight ends going. We already have our 2 guys with Darren Waller and Gesicki. Anthony says, are you doing a best ball mania or a puppy draft? Whatever y'all want. Just let me know in the chat if y'all want a best ball mania or a puppy, and I'd be happy to get it going. We have been doing the puppies because I'm trying to get those maxed out. I mean, Underdog launched the puppy contest like 10 days ago, and it's almost halfway full. That is ridiculous. There have been like almost 50,000 entries into the puppy drafts already. Okay. So we are just quarterback, wide receiver from here. Quarterback, wide receiver. Okay. Alec Pierce goes here at pick 158. Come on. Take some running backs. Take some tight ends. Running back, tight end, running back, tight end, running back, tight end. Get them off the board. Okay, so it looks like most people are saying in the chat that they want to get a puppy draft going after this. Oh, okay, we'll get a puppy draft going after this. Keel Herbert goes at the 1403. Feels like that's early for Herbert, isn't it? Yeah, it's about 10 picks early on ADP. James Robinson goes as well. Good for us. Okay, so if we are to miss out on Zach Wilson, which probably won't. Yeah, Clutch Cow already has 2 quarterbacks, and he has Lamar and Tua. So I doubt he's going to take another QB here, even though he does have Elijah Moore. So it looks like we will be getting Zach Wilson, and we will be getting the double stack with Corey Davis and Garrett Wilson. I don't love stopping at 2 quarterbacks, but this is why we did go ahead and we took Jalen Hurts, who was pretty much a top 5 quarterback on a per game basis last year. I believe he was the quarterback 6. And obviously getting that massive upgrade coming in with A.J. Brown as wide receiver 1. And you are also getting, presumably, an upgrade with Devontae Smith going into year 2. Okay, Gus Edwards at pick 164. Noah says, didn't they do like 3 puppy drafts last year? Yeah, they did 3 puppy drafts last year. I'd imagine they do more this upcoming season. Like if these are getting filled every 2 weeks, like that's how many people are on the Underdog now and drafting. If that's how fast they're getting filled, they could probably run like, I don't know how many they want to do because obviously they want to fill Best Ball Mania as well. I'd imagine they probably end up doing like 5 or 6 puppies, especially once we get closer to the season. Like once we get closer to the season, these things are going to be flying. Okay, Hunter Henry ends up going at the 1410. That's good for us. And Falany also didn't have a tight end, so that does make sense. Thomas ends up taking Matt Ryan here at the 1411. Wan'Dale Robinson at the 1501. I would have liked Wan'Dale making it back to us. I really do like Giants Mez taking both Daniel Jones and Wan'Dale Robinson. I mean, if you look at Daniel Jones has rushing upside. Like if somehow, some way, this coaching staff and Brian Dable comes over and they fix Daniel Jones, he has upside in fantasy football. I mean, this is a quarterback that can get to 400 rushing yards in a season. I believe he did that in like 12 weeks. Something ridiculous. Okay, so now we are just going to get whoever's left over between Will Fuller, KJ Hamler. I've been taking a lot of Will Fuller lately. I think in a traditional fantasy football format, you shouldn't be that excited about Will Fuller, but in best ball in particular, We've seen Will Fuller have access to 50-point spike weeks. So I'm comfortable taking Will Fuller, saying, okay, we just need 1 to 2 weeks, especially if that week comes during the fantasy football playoffs. I think we'd be really happy about it. And also, if you think about what teams need a field-stretching wide receiver, that Will Fuller would probably want to go to. Cleveland? Green Bay? That'd be beautiful. Beautiful for Will Fuller. I'm taking Will Fuller in a ton of these drafts. Okay, so Tannehill goes at the 1509. If you look at Ryan Tannehill, he was a top 5 quarterback in adjusted yards per pass attempt in both 2020 and 2019. I'm wondering if there's a chance that we are all underrating Tannehill. I know they dropped Malik Willis in the 3rd round, but if you look historically speaking, a 3rd round rookie quarterback is not going to start. Like Malik Willis is not going to be taking starts. He's not going to be taking points away from Tannehill. I think there's probably a pretty good shot that Tannehill returns value here, and it's not that far of a gap between him and like Trevor Lawrence. Okay, Donovan Peoples-Jones ends up going at the 15-12. I've seen such a wide distribution of where teams are taking Odell Beckham Jr. Like earlier in a draft this morning, I had to stop taking wide receivers because we really needed a running back in round 17 and 18, but I ended up seeing Odell Beckham Jr. go undrafted. Okay, so remember we are going with the hyper fragile build here. We are having to draft around 10 wide receivers because our wide receiver room is gross. We have Stephon Diggs, Russell Gage, Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams, Devontae Parker, Corey Davis, and Will Fuller. Romeo Dubes at the 1603. This is someone that goes undrafted in a lot of these. Okay, so Evan Ingram off the board. Julio Jones goes. I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to be taking AJ Green. Yes, we're going to take AJ Green over Sammy Watkins. I like the upside you have for Sammy Watkins in that Green Bay Packers offense. What I'd be worried about is if you look at the contract, Sammy Watkins doesn't look like he's guaranteed to be a part of the Packers once week 1 comes around. So what I'm going to be doing whenever I plan on drafting these teams, literally, we are going to be doing these drafts. Like if you do not like these and you are tired of seeing these pop up, I probably recommend you unsubscribe from the channel because we're going to be doing these drafts every single day until we get to this season. So if we get to say August and Sammy Watkins is still on the team and we are getting reports out of training camp saying, oh, Sammy Watkins, he's going to be an every down player, his ADP will rise. You're not going to be able to get him in the 16th anymore. He probably will slide up to about the 14th, but I'll be willing to just pay the premium there and kind of dodge the risk of him ending up being a training camp cut candidate. Okay, so Sammy Watkins does indeed go at the 16-10. This is behind ADP. You should expect Sammy Watkins to go around here. And before we get in our next draft, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run to fill up my water because if I do not fill up this water, I am not going to be able to speak. I mean, you can probably already tell that. So let me queue up a bunch of players here and y'all can watch the draft board go as we leave. Probably shouldn't be showing exactly who I'm queuing up, but it doesn't really matter. Okay. We're good with that for now. Let me go show off this draft board. I will be back in 1 second. Let me go fill up this. Okay, I am feeling much better. We hit 150 likes as well, so we are going to go ahead and we are going to get this second draft going. Let me take one player here, and then we're probably just going to bounce. I think everybody's seen the draft room, and then we will go ahead and get our next one underway. I will have to queue up a bunch of options, though. Okay, looks like Devin Duvernay is going to be available to us with this next pick. Devin Duvernay is one of my most drafted wide receivers this season. I'm taking him all the time in the 17th and 18th rounds. Unless, you know what we could end up doing? We could grab a third quarterback with Mac Jones. Like, Zach Wilson is not that exciting of a second option. Wide receivers, let's think through this. Diggs, Gage, Wilson, Jameson. I think we're possibly fine. You know what we're going to do? I'm going to chicken out. We're just going to take most. We're not going to go with a true hyper-fragile build. We will draft 5 running backs here. Probably a bad call. And we will end up getting another wide receiver. Let me go and queue up a bunch of receivers. Then we'll hop in another $5 puppy draft. Thank you, of course, for everybody coming out to the live stream. I've been waiting, literally just dying, waiting, sitting here for God knows how long, wanting to get the stream going, but forcing myself instead to write our draft guide, which I don't know if you've ever sat down to write a draft guide. Maybe I don't like writing. Maybe it's on me, but it is brutal. It is tough work and it is not fun, but getting these drafts, literally the most fun thing on the planet. So let's go hop into a puppy draft here. And let's hope that this is a draft that does not have too many spots. And we only have one spot open. Ha ha ha. None of y'all probably got in here. So we are set to go and probably implement an easy strategy for us. Okay, never mind. Some of y'all are in here. We got Caden out here. We got Death from Zesky out here. Resident is out here. Girthquake is out here as well. Okay, so we have about 4 people from the flock. I think maybe I don't recognize 1 or 2 of these names. If I don't recognize your name, please let me know. Jacob, William, both saying they're in this draft. Okay. Max Power says, hey, boss, I watch all the content. Don't comment much. I just want to show some love. I'm Taco Supreme. No, thank you, my man, so much for coming out to the live stream and hanging out with us. Yeah. And yeah, if y'all never comment, if y'all just watch these streams, if you just kind of lurk in the back, my man, I still truly do appreciate you. Thank you so much for just spending time with me. I mean, literally, y'all don't know. Y'all don't know how happy this makes me. Okay. So 106, same exact spot where we were the last draft. I'm assuming we go Diggs. Like, let's just queue up our plan here. Ooh, God. Jefferson goes. So unless Case Bone 88. Yeah, they go Jamar Chase. So we're going to take Stephon Diggs at the 106. Obviously, the goal here, or the plan here, is to try to get Josh Allen to make it to us in the 3rd. If Josh Allen makes it to us in the 3rd, oh, we are going to be happy. We will be dancing. I'll tell you that right now. 2nd round, you know who I want. I don't want to say it out loud. I don't want to get sniped, but we'll wait just a little bit. We'll wait a little bit. Gary says, also a lurker here. Thank you, Gary, for coming out to the stream, my dude. Okay, so Eckler, Derrick Henry go directly after. Okay, so this is one of those vintage drafts where you do have Derrick Henry going before Austin Eckler. Najee Harrison's up going at the 109. I have not drafted a lot of Najee Harrison. The main reason is just because I'm taking Diggs over him. I'm taking Kelsey over him as well. So I feel like that can be something that eventually burns us because, hell, if you look at Najee Harris's workload last season, if that carries over to this upcoming year and somehow this offense improves just slightly, he does have the upside to just break fantasy football. Okay, so Dalvin Cook ends up going at the 111. DeAndre Swift goes at the 112. Interesting. See if this D-Desert team here decides to build a unique start. They go Swift and Devontae Adams. Not too many people are going to have Swift and Adams. Swift has an ADP of about 16 or 17. Devontae Adams has an ADP of about 10. So I guess it's maybe not that unique. Like if you're going to take Swift here, probably take him with, if you're going to take Swift for the purpose of creating a unique combination. If that is your purpose in taking DeAndre Swift at the 112, which should be your purpose because there's no way in hell you should be drafting DeAndre Swift at the 112 based off of his overall production. I think you pair him up with someone like Andrews. I think you pair him up with someone like CeeDee Lamb, who's also going in round 2 with ADP, because I think some teams will have Swift and Adams. Like if you take Adams to the 109, there, bam, Swift is sitting at pick 16 for you. Okay, so let's slide this up I have two players in mind that I'm going to be looking at. Aaron Jones goes, so we are going to get one of them. We are going to be looking at the combination of Deebo Samuel and Mike Evans. I like taking Deebo and Mike Evans here because if we do miss out on Josh Allen in the third, hell, we have Tom Brady sitting there for us in the 7th round, and we have Trey Lance sitting there in the 8th. Okay, Leonard Fournette at the 206. Spam the chat. Do you want me to go Deebo or Evans? First message I see regarding Deebo or Evans, we'll take him. I mean, with Mike Evans, you can make the argument, oh, okay, we have no Antonio Brown. Okay, it's going to be a top 5 passing offense. Deebo Samuel's going into his age 26 season and was the wide receiver 3 last year. So I think you can make an argument for either, where I would expect some regression from Deebo with his 8 rushing touchdowns. It looks like most people are saying Deebo Samuel, so we are going to go ahead and we are going to take Deebo, even though maybe it's split half and half, but looks like maybe it's 60-40 Deebo Samuel to Mike Evans. I do want to go with the wide receiver there, especially with seeing how that last draft went. Now, I will say maybe this room's a little bit different. You do see picks 7, 8, and 9, all double tapping the running back position through the first 2 rounds. Really, the only thing that looks quote-unquote off here is going to be taking Leonard Fournette at the 206. Very rarely are you going to get Fournette that high. Usually he's going to go at that 2-3 turn. Doc says he's spot 8 in this draft. Okay, so Doc is RS Wildcat. He goes Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler. Very standard start. Very standard start. Ryan says, oh, why did you not take Austin Eckler? Because the running backs, they'll be available to us in rounds 5 and 6. And if you're asking that question, you probably have not seen us draft too many of these teams. So what I want to ask from you is go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK. Go have some fun getting into these drafts with us. We do these every single day. Legitimately every single day, not only on the live stream, but I'm also drafting all the time off the live stream just because I have so much fun with them. And I promise you, if you enjoy fantasy football, you are going to have too much fun. Legitimately too much fun. Go use promo code FLOCK and find the link in the description. And when you use promo code FLOCK, they will match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. And you will get our rankings, our draft guide. You'll get our dynasty rankings, our dynasty rookie rank. You'll get so much for literally a $10 deposit. It's like a $50 value, and they match your deposit when you use promo code FLOCK. So it's essentially free. All right. Javonte Williams is a great value. I would love to go to Javonte Williams, but we took Stephon Diggs. When we take Diggs there in round 1, we are setting ourselves up with Josh Allen. So congrats to whoever gets Javonte Williams here at the end of the 3rd. Trust me, I would have really liked to go Javonte Williams. And if we would have gone with, say, an Austin Eckler, if we would have gone with a Travis Kelce instead, we would have done so. Now, Justin Herbert goes here at the 307. I really don't like the idea of going Herbert. Like, you don't have Keenan, you don't have Mike Williams. Justin Herbert also is going to be available at pick 42 a ton for you. Like, I don't see the point in taking Justin Herbert here at pick 31 when Mahomes still is yet to go off the board. Mahomes can go off and you can still get Justin Herbert with your next pick, but you're passing up on Javonte Williams, where in the 4th round, you're going to be looking at Ezekiel Elliott. You're going to be looking at Cam Akers at the running back position instead. So yeah, I do definitely prefer go Javonte Williams. I know you went with running back through the first 2 rounds, but you're never getting Javonte Williams falling to you at pick 31. So you have to just go through and pivot sometimes. Okay. So Wildcat coming out. That's Doc 79, as we already said, and he ends up getting that Javonte pick. And he has the combination of Eckler, Aaron Jones, and Javonte Williams. Interesting. Okay, so now you have Deontay going at the turn. And obviously, we really like seeing the quarterbacks off the board. Like, trust me, thank you for taking Justin Herbert at pick 31. Thank you for taking Mahomes at pick 34. Like, when we have Josh Allen, we want these quarterbacks to be pushed up ever so slightly. Okay, Captain U says no rookies in the draft, question mark. Oh, we have rookies. You'll be seeing Breece Hall here probably at the end of the 4th. I doubt he makes it to the beginning of the 5th. Darren Waller goes at the 401. Let's pull this up. Yeah, you see Breece Hall has an ADP of pick 47. Okay, Connor, pick 38 at the 402. Okay, back-to-back drafts that James Conner makes it to the beginning of the 4th round. DJ Moore off the board. here's how I've been breaking down this tier of wide receivers between Hollywood Brown, Deontay Johnson, and DJ Moore. If I ended up getting the stack with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, or with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, like if I already have my elite quarterback lined up, then I'm going to be passing on Hollywood Brown in favor of Deontay Johnson, in favor of DJ Moore, knowing that we really don't have to worry about the stack. Whereas I would be a little bit more willing to just go ahead and take Hollywood so we can get Kyler in the 5th if we don't have one of those other receivers. But based on the wide receivers that are going to be available to us in the 5th versus the running backs, I think we want to go with wide receiver here. We are going to be taking DK Metcalf. So a completely different approach. I mean, if y'all remember the last draft that we had, well, no, we were not going to go with 3 running backs in the first 4 rounds, but it's just all about how the draft board is going to fall to you. Okay, Chris Godwin goes to the 4-9. Love me some Godwin. I mean, I think Godwin serves a couple different purposes when you draft him in these tournaments, because keep in mind, so how it's going to work is if you get first or second place in your 12-team league, obviously you get paid, and then you also advance into that tournament. So you're going to be then placed in, I think it's another 12-team league. Please, I may have the details fuzzy, but you're going to be placed in a 12-team league. Maybe it's 50, something around then. And then that's just going to be a 1-week league for week 15. And the top 2 teams in that league are then going to move on to week 16. And it's going to be the same thing over again. And then it's going to narrow it down to a player pool for week 17. And then it's going to be a free for all then. So if you take someone like Chris Godwin, if you take someone like DeAndre Hopkins, players that we know have that access to an elite ceiling during that playoff stretch, however, they're not putting up points at the beginning of the season, we can assume that their advanced rate is inherently going to be lower because they're not giving you those points at the beginning of the year. But if you are able to make the playoffs with them and not too many other people have them, that is probably a pretty good situation to be set up for a lot of success and an easy path to advancing. Okay. So we went DK Metcalf here over Zeke, over Cam Akers, just because, like, look at the wide receivers available now. Like Gabriel Davis going off the board of the 503 versus look at the running backs. Like if we passed on DK Metcalf here, our wide receiver options would have been Juju Smith-Schuster or Rashad Bateman. Whereas now we don't really have to take one of those wide receivers. And instead, I'm going to get Breece Hall here as our running back 1 at pick 54. This is why I'm saying we've done like over 100 of these drafts. I have a strategy that works almost every single time. I don't want to say it obviously works every time. We don't know. Maybe I'm going to lose a lot of money this year. That's definitely possible. But this is how I feel comfortable. I feel comfortable going with those wide receivers early. And if you go with those wide receivers early, historically speaking, it's been a dead zone. Like you don't want to be taking running backs in rounds 5, 6, 7, because historically speaking, that's where gross guys are going. That's where like you have Mike Davis going last season, because you have running backs usually pushed up draft boards, and the running back in round 5, everybody's in agreement saying, oh yeah, no, he's bad, but he's in a great situation, like Mike Davis last season. But because Underdog Fantasy here has kind of changed the game and people want to go with their wide receivers early and people are trying to avoid these running backs in the 5th rounds, historically speaking, yeah, your advance rate, historically speaking, your overall hit rate on running backs in rounds 5, 6, 7 is very bad. But you've never seen years where you get Breece Hall, where you get David Montgomery, where you get Josh Jacobs, these quality running backs in rounds 5, 6, and 7, and the opportunity cost is you pass on Juju Smith-Schuster making $2.5 million, where you pass on Rashad Bateman, who has not shown anything in the NFL. So that's why I'm going to continue to, quote unquote, reach for wide receivers. We're going to take Stephon Diggs over Austin Eckler, because I would rather have the combination of Stephon Diggs and Breece Hall versus Austin Eckler and Juju Smith-Schuster, or Austin Eckler and Rashad Bateman. Okay, so let me send this out. Cordell Patterson goes at the 601. Interesting. You're never seeing Patterson go here. Like, I think this is a very bad selection. You could get Cordell Patterson at the 7-8 turn every single time you want. Like, I promise you, do not feel the need to take Cordell Patterson at the 601. If you really want Patterson, you can get him at the 712. You can get him at the 801. Okay, so let's pull this back up. And Jalen Hurts is on the board. We went Jalen Hurts last time in the 6th. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit of a different story now that we are sitting with Josh Allen. I don't think it's as big of a deal to come away with that quarterback. Still kind of okay. Darnell Mooney goes to the 604. This is a team that has Pittman, Hollywood, and Darnell at wide receiver. Yeah, so they took Hollywood around and picked 40 to set up that Kyler Murray stack. Like I was saying, if you don't have any other potential stacks set up, that's where I'm going to be willing to push someone like Hollywood Brown up the board because you know you're consistently getting Kyler in the 5th. Okay, so going back to what we were saying earlier on why I am taking wide receivers early, look at this. We are getting J.K. Dobbins at the 607. Yes, historically speaking, I agree with you. It's very bad to take running backs in the rounds 4, 5, 6. Like, historically speaking, that has been a horrible range for RB. But you've never seen running backs of this caliber there. At least, let me know if maybe I am just blanking. Maybe I have a short-term memory. Maybe I'm getting hyper-focused on just the names of these guys. But this is a completely different draft than years past. Am I correct? Like, who are the running backs you were getting in rounds 5, 6 last year? Let me pull this up. Let's just look up a random year. 2019 fantasy football ADP. And we can look at the names that you were getting in rounds 5, 6, 7. Okay, so this is according to Fantasy Pros. Let's go to the 5th round. 5th round. Let's start pick 48. The wide receivers you were getting here: Cooper Kupp, Chris Godwin, Tyler Boyd, Calvin Ridley, Mike Williams, AJ Green, DJ Moore. The running backs you were getting here: James White, Philip Lindsay. I'm trying to find the next running back. And I'm not skipping over names. I'm not cherry picking. I'm just going in order. The next running back 27, Tariq Cohen. Running back 28, Tevin Coleman. Running back 29, Austin Eckler. So yeah, you hit on running back 29, but that just goes to show you, usually, historically speaking, you're on running back 28, you're on running back 29 by the time you get to the 5th round. Here, we're on what? Running back like 16? It's just completely different than what we've seen in years past. Okay, so let's pull up this draft board. So far, we have gone with Allen at quarterback. At running back, we have Breece Hall, J.K. Dobbins. At wide receiver, we have Stephon Diggs, Deebo Samuel, and D.K. Metcalf. And Stefan coming out says, I drafted 7 wide receivers in a row to start a draft today. LOL. We got Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, T. Higgins, Terry McLaurin, Chris Godwin, Treylon Burks, Devontae Smith, took Romeo Doubs in the 17th. I will say at some point, I do think there's an opportunity cost in continuing to go receiver. Like, I've done it before. I've done that same exact thing. And I feel like once we're in round 7 and I'm clicking the button on the receiver, I'm like, oh my God, did I just do that to be cute? Did I just do that so I can say we drafted that many in a row? Like, I think we probably have to slam the brakes when you're at that point. But yeah, we are going to take Antonio Gibson here in the middle of the 7th. Antonio Gibson, a massive faller because the addition of Brian Robinson in the top 100 picks of the NFL draft, a running back that was able to handle a 3-down workload at Alabama. Yes, I mean, the man's a million years old. Yes, he came out of the NFL draft at 23, but if you look at the running backs that were in that Alabama room alongside Brian Robinson throughout his entire career, you had Damian Harris, Najee Harris, Josh Jacobs, you had Jerome Ford. I mean, a running back that transferred over to Cincinnati that ended up making it into the NFL this upcoming season. Like, you had so many just quality running back after quality running back after quality running back. It took Ryan Robinson that long to break out at Alabama, which you can't fault the man for. And yeah, that's going to cause Antonio Gibson to fall, especially if you combine that with the fact that this is a team that went out there and re-signed J.D. McKissic this offseason. But I feel like pick 78 is good value. Like, if we're talking about Antonio Gibson versus Kadarius Toney, I'm fine taking Antonio Gibson. Okay. So Allen Lazard goes at the 801. Okay, this is why I like getting in drafts with people that are not on the live stream. We get some picks like this. We get some values falling to us. And let's pull up this draft board. Okay, so wide receivers are drying up here. Aaron Rodgers ends up going at pick 86. Kenneth Walker at pick 87. I think we're very balanced. Like, I'm not necessarily dying for anybody in particular here. Okay, what are we looking at? Hawkinson goes. I was lying to y'all. I was dying for Hawkinson. Like, I was sitting here, I was sweating Hawkinson. But it is what it is. We can just move on. Okay, Kareem Hunt off the board. Okay. even though we don't have a stack, like I really want to just take Brady here. We are going to go ahead and take Brady and just lock in a quarterback one finish every single week, regardless. We could target Rob Gronkowski a little bit later on. We're getting Tom Brady 13 picks behind his ADP. I am trying to grab 2 elite level quarterbacks in every single draft. Now, it's a lot harder when you take Allen in the 3rd compared to, say, getting Lamar Jackson in the 5th. If you take Lamar Jackson in the 5th, the opportunity cost is going to be so much lessened that it really makes your Tom Brady 8th round selection exciting. Like, you're jumping up and down with joy when you get Tom Brady. I'm a little more hesitant to get excited about it because we have Josh Allen, but it is what it is. You have Dak Prescott, Matthew Stafford going here. And obviously at this point, we can no longer take any quarterbacks. We are done at the quarterback position. This is probably going to be a 2-5-8-3 build. 2-5-8-3 build. And real quick, we just passed 200 likes in the live stream. Thank you so much for everybody going down there and dropping a like on the stream. I appreciate it. Okay, so Caden goes ahead and gets a Russell Gage. Let's see what Caden's done so far. It looks like he has not taken a single running back. I mean, he took Jonathan Taylor. Since then, T. Higgins, Keenan Allen, Terry McLaurin, Devonta Smith, Treylon Burks, Russell Gage at wide receiver. He has Lamar Jackson. If you don't have a quarterback stack, it's called the naked Lamar Jackson, but I think that's the perfect quarterback to do it with, someone that you're not relying on passing a volume or efficiency or relying on the rushing statistics. So yeah, Lance goes at the 902. Good for us. We want to see these QBs off. Okay, so Melvin Gordon goes to the 903. And we have a lot of wide receivers staring at us here. A lot of wide receivers. It would have been nice to get Dawson Knox making it back. Dawson Knox had an ADP of 99 and we were picking at 102. I was willing to roll the dice to see if we got Dawson Knox. Clearly it didn't work out here, but it is what it is. Okay, so Derek Carr off the board. I know we were talking crap on Sky Moore, saying that we weren't drafting him in the last one at his ADP or slightly above because everybody soaked up the wide receiver position. But keep in mind, in the last draft, I think Sky Moore went in the 7th round. Here we're getting him at the 906. So I will take Sky Moore as our wide receiver one here. We are getting him about 18 picks behind his ADP. If we're going to draft 200 teams, if you're going to give me a position of need for me in a draft, which is wide receiver, if you're going to give me that picks 18, if you're going to give me that pick 18 picks behind ADP, hell yes. I'm going to be happy to take a Sky Moore at pick 102. And real quick, if we get 250 likes in this live stream, we've had almost 1,500 views so far in the stream. 250 likes, we'll get another draft going after this one, my dudes. Just make sure y'all drop a like. Make sure you go sign up for Underdog Fantasy with the link in the description. Use promo code FLOCK. It's Friday. It's Friday. Go have some fun. It's Friday night. Have some fun. Sign up for a fantasy football draft. Go deposit $10. They'll add $10 into your account. You'll have $20 to play with. You can opt into, if I'm a mathematician here, you can opt into about 6 $3 drafts. You can opt into about 4 $5 drafts if you want. I would definitely recommend that. Don't go into any higher stakes drafts if it's going to be your first time on Underdog Fantasy. I'd stick with the $3 and $5 drafts. Okay, so Garrett Wilson goes at the 911. I was going to say bad for us. Deep down, I want wide receivers to fall. But I guess we've only selected running backs in rounds 5, 6, 7. It's fine if we go with another running back here if they are value. GA says that's where Sky Moore should go. LOL. I agree with you. I think Sky Moore in a lot of these drafts is severely overdrafted. Like, Sky Moore goes ahead of Brandon Ayuk in these drafts. Ayuk was the wide receiver 16 on a per game basis his rookie season. I agree with you. I think Sky Moore in the majority of these drafts is overvalued. Here, pick 102. I'm happy with it. Kirk Cousins at the 1001. Cubba Joe says, Mason, we need an Underdog back in Michigan. Yeah, I listened to a podcast about like DFS companies and DFS laws and how it goes state by state. Apparently, if y'all write to your lawmakers, it makes a difference. I don't know. Keep in mind, I don't know anything about politics, but that's what the podcast said when it was talking about DFS regulations. Okay, so Robert Woods at the 1003. Okay, so every one of these teams is 1 quarterback, 1 tight end, 3 running backs, 4 receivers. Very funny to see a really standard build here. And we are going to have to take 3 tight ends regardless, so I'm not dying to grab a tight end in this range. I have not drafted a lot of Zach Ertz, if I'm going to be completely honest. Maybe it's bad by me because we know Arizona is going to be a very efficient passing offense. We know there will be targets available. You have Christian Kirk leaving. You have DeAndre Hopkins missing the first 6 weeks. We have DeAndre Hopkins probably not as good as he's historically been. It doesn't really matter. I think when we wait this long, we can just go ahead and take Chase Edmonds. And when we get Edmonds here, I think we will be locked into only having to draft 5 running backs. So we're going to take Edmonds. We'll probably wait a little bit longer on our next RB, but this should give us that 259 build, 2593 build we were talking about earlier. Usually I like going and pushing running backs a little bit further down the draft board, but usually I also like getting an elite level tight end that's going to allow us to draft 6 of these RBs. Whenever we don't have that elite level tight end and we have to draft 3 of them, I think we don't have the option to draft 6 RBs. Okay, so Stevenson at the 1009. Dameon Pierce at the 10-10. Okay, good for us. Because like I said, we're only drafting 5 of these guys. So we only have 1 more running back. We have 8 more rounds of this draft. So it's not like we're going to want to use that roster spot on running back right away. And I've also had to force myself to stop drafting Dameon Pierce. Because I don't even really like Dameon Pierce that much. It's just I'm always looking for running backs in this range of the draft. And Dameon Pierce is one of those guys, just like Rashad Penny. He never will go at his ADP. Never. Nobody will ever take him at his ADP. He always falls behind that. So you're always like, okay, Dameon Pierce, 6, 7 picks behind his ADP. I guess I'll take him here. I don't love him. And then you find out that you've drafted 20% Dameon Pierce. And you're like, oh my God, what have I done? We have to stop drafting this guy. So I'm happy to see Dameon Pierce go off the board just so I'm not tempted to grab another share whenever he falls way past his ADP. Even though, I mean, it's like a fake ADP, if we're going to be honest. Okay, Alexander Madison goes the 1102. Let's slide this down. Okay, so we have a couple different routes we can go. I'm liking what happened. Zach Ertz goes. I would have taken Zach Ertz if he would have made it to us with pick 126. I'm assuming Gronk's already off the board. I don't see him. Yeah, so Rob Gronkowski went at pick 119. Interesting that he went ahead of Zach Ertz. I guess we're probably just going to go with the wide receiver here. We will end up going with Michael Gallup. I mean, there are so many targets available in Dallas. We can expect that Dallas is one of the best passing offenses in the NFL this upcoming season. With no Cedric Wilson, with no Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup should have an extremely large role. I think he is significantly better than Jalen Tolbert. Obviously, the issue is the injury, but we're getting that injury discount baked in at pick 126. If Michael Gallup was not injured, if he was 100% healthy coming into the season, you'd see Michael Gallup in these drafts probably going ahead of, he'd be going ahead of Allen Lazard. He'd be going ahead of Christian Kirk. He'd probably be going here right after like Adam Thielen. Probably be going like pick 79, 80. Okay, so Pat Frymuth and Mike Gesicki go directly after us. As I was saying, we're going to have to draft 3 of these tight ends, regardless of if we would have grabbed one there or not, so I'm fine. Get Michael Gallup. Curvat says, do you think there's a good chance Ronald Jones takes over for Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Kansas City Chiefs keep rolling with the disappointment? I think that it's going to be a committee. I think that you can draft both running backs. I've been talking about this as of late, but I think there's probably a strong argument to be made to take running backs in a great offense where their backfield is murky. Last year, that was Arizona with James Conner and Chase Edmonds. We didn't know who the starter was. If you drafted both, you would have made a crap ton of money. It was also Tampa. We didn't know if it was Ronald Jones or Leonard Fournette. We knew the offense was going to be great. If you would have just drafted both, you'd have made a crap ton of money. So maybe you take that same thing that happened last season and apply it to Kansas City this upcoming year. I mean, on paper, it makes sense. Okay, so it looks like we'll probably be grabbing another receiver here unless things are dramatically changed with this draft board. I doubt it. Yeah, so we have 2 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 5 wide receivers, and no tight ends so far. Jacoby Myers goes at the 1202. Devontae Parker at pick 135. All of these wide receivers are kind of the same for me. I mean, with this team where we have Josh Allen, where we have Diggs, I'm probably going to prefer Jamison Crowder and just use that as a tiebreaker. I would say if Patrick made it, I didn't care about the stack. We were going to go with Tim Patrick instead. I really like Tim Patrick in that overall offensive environment this year because I kind of want to be betting against Cortland Sutton. I don't know if you know that about me, but let's go take Jamison Crowder here. We have Josh Allen. We have Stephon Diggs. Let's get the double stack. We need a wide receiver. Not much else to talk about. We are going to get one of these tight ends making it back to us. Honestly, I like all these guys in this range. Like, Nyheim Hines, probably my least favorite guy according to ADP here, but we are up in 9 picks. We have 9 guys in the queue. I think we should be good with getting one of those players. Hopefully we end up getting one of those tight ends making it back to us. I think you could easily make an argument that we should have gone at tight end here and then grabbed a second guy in round 13. I think this is kind of the sweet spot for tight end. If you miss out on one of those elite level options, it's just all about having Josh Allen. Like, I wouldn't have taken Crowder here if we didn't have Allen. Okay, so Robert Tonyan does indeed go at the 1301. You have Isaiah Spiller, Michael Carter off the board as well. So those 2 running backs off the board, I doubt we're going to go running back. It looks like we're almost locked into a tight end. It's like we're locked into a tight end unless we get, I guess, Jahan Dotson. Like, Jahan Dotson's our only other option. I mean, I'm not really going to Nyheim Hines here. So let's just see who they leave us at tight end or receiver. I will take Jahan Dotson if he's available. I mean, Dotson, a first round wide receiver talent. Yes, very bad offense, bad situation. He's parked behind Terry McLaurin. There's no chance he escapes Terry McLaurin to be the wide receiver 1 in this offense. I'm assuming, yeah, Rachaad White's already off the board. It's interesting to see where Rachaad White goes here. Like, I don't see why people are so much more excited about Rachaad White than Isaiah Spiller. Like, they seem very comparable to me. Okay, Noah Fant goes. So knowing that one of our potential tight end targets a little bit later on is now off the board, we probably just end up needing to go with the tight end. Albert O has the higher ADP. I don't care. I mean, I really like me some Cole Kmet. If you're looking at Cole Kmet, he's going to be the number 2 passing option in this offense this upcoming season. Yeah, Justin Fields is bad, but Cole Kmet had a respectable target share last season at a younger age than Pat Freiermuth. Not only was he younger than Freiermuth, but also this is a tight end that got extremely unlucky in the touchdown category. This is a tight end that scored a total of 0 touchdowns off of an insane target share. I mean, doing his best impersonation of Kyle Pitts from last season. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take Cole Kmet in a ton of these drafts. Derek says, I'm 30 puppy drafts in and I have 46% Isaiah Spiller. I've been drafting Isaiah Spiller as well, man, because if you're looking at Isaiah Spiller, hell, this is a running back that will be in a committee with Austin Eckler. Like, he will be getting some touches on a week-to-week basis. So if you were desperate, keep in mind, we don't have access to the waiver wire. So if it's like week 6, you're getting hit with buys, and all of a sudden you're down to 3 running backs and you need those guys to just squeak out 4 or 5 points, and you need that to happen for a couple weeks to stay alive, you can get that from Spiller, but obviously it's the hidden upside that you have if Eckler were to go down. All of a sudden you'll be the pass-catching running back in an offense that has no other talent in Los Angeles with the Rams, with Justin Herbert. It's pretty damn exciting. Very exciting. Very exciting. Okay, Kit Kat Kid says, can you show the start of the draft? Yes, sir. I'd be happy to show the start of the draft. So here we went Stephon Diggs, Deebo Samuel, Josh Allen through the first 3 rounds. We passed on Elliott, who is best available according to ADP, in the 4th because we were like, okay, this wide receiver tier is going to dry up soon. Let's just take Metcalf and then get the running back value a little bit later on. We ended up getting Breece Hall in the 5th, J.K. Dobbins in the 6th, Antonio Gibson in the 7th. Then Tom Brady fell to us at pick 91. We don't have any Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Don't love going and getting Tom Brady, a volume passer with no rushing upside if we don't have any of his stacks. But hell, he fell a ton according to his ADP. So we're like, I guess we kind of just have to draft him here, especially if in a lot of these drafts we are trying to come away with 2 solid quarterback options. So we go ahead and we take Tom Brady at the 807. We get Sky Moore at the pick 102. I usually don't like Sky Moore where he goes, but usually he goes at the end of the 7th round, the beginning of the 8th round here, around pick 84. I'm not taking Sky Moore pick 84. I will take him at pick 102. Chase Edmonds, pick 115 to lock in the ability for us to only have to draft 5 RBs. Then boring. We went Gallup. I think if we're looking at Jamison Crowder, probably the tight ends are better value, but the issue is we had Josh Allen, we had Stephon Diggs, so we have to go ahead and we have to take Crowder there. And are we about to get Albert O making it back to us? Albert O was the highest ranked player according to ADP last time we were on the clock. We need a tight end. Yeah, we have an easy selection here of Albert O as our tight end 2. We're still going to have to go ahead and we're going to have to grab 3 tight ends. It's not like we can stop with just Cole Kmet and Albert O, but we have some solid options. I mean, we can get Higbee. We can get Gerald Everett a little bit later on. We can get Hayden Hurst. And it's our 3rd guy. It doesn't have to be fantastic. And it may end up coming away with our 5th running back with our next pick here. Because we need 1 more running back, 1 more tight end, and 2 more wide receivers. Okay, Anthony says, okay, Austin, thanks, since he doesn't never respond to anything people's say. Okay, my man. First off, I would like to point out the fact that we've had 1,700 people in this live stream. How am I supposed to respond to everybody? Second off, I would really, really advise you to turn off this video and go to the YouTube search bar and type in Grammar 101. Probably shouldn't start off coming into fantasy football chat spewing some hate. You should probably learn how to type, but that's just me. James Robinson at the 1501, pick 169. Okay. So yeah, I'm fine with a running back making it back. I've also been drafting a lot of Kenneth Gainwell. I mean, very similar to what we were talking about with Isaiah Spiller. This is a running back that should have a role on a week-to-week basis. Not only is he going to have a role on a week-to-week basis, but he would have upside if Miles Sanders were to go down. So that's like exactly what you're looking for in a basketball format, especially with 0 RB builds. That's why I've been coming away with a lot of those RBs. A lot of those. Okay, so Donovan Peoples-Jones at 1503. We're not taking quarterback. Obviously, we're done there. So we are going to be looking at running back, receiver, and tight end. Casebone only has 1 quarterback. That is Derek Carr. Yeah, so he goes Daniel Jones. We're just going to end up with Tyrion Davis-Price. I like Tyrion Davis-Price. Like, out of all these running backs available, it didn't matter what ADP would be. Tyrion Davis-Price would be my top option because very similar. If you're looking at Elijah Mitchell has not been used as a receiver in this backfield. There's an outside chance that they don't want to use Elijah Mitchell as a 3-down workhorse. I mean, Elijah Mitchell has no team investment. They went out there and they drafted Tyrion Davis-Price in the 3rd round. So we'll take Tyrion Davis-Price in the 15th. Not the most exciting pick in the world, but hell, I mean, I think he does have a shot to take over a role in San Francisco and have upside if Elijah Mitchell were to go down. And real quick, we just passed 250 likes on the live stream. Thank you so much for everybody who's gone down there and dropped a like. We will get another draft going after this one. Jacob says, what do you think of my team from the 3 spot? Let's go through and let's dive into this. CMC at the 103, very standard. Tyreek Hill at the 210, standard. I am personally not going to be taking Mike Williams here at pick 27. I know we talk about taking wide receivers a lot in this range, but still, going with Williams, yes, he was the wide receiver 2 on a points per game basis through the first 5 weeks this past season, but you saw a dramatic fall off afterwards, and he does have a significantly higher average depth of target than Keenan Allen. That is going to provide spike weeks for a best ball format, but still, to take him over an elite tight end in Kyle Pitts, to take him over an elite running back in Saquon Barkley, I am personally not going to be doing it. Jerry Jeudy, fine at the 410. Gabriel Davis, also another player that I'm not drafting very often. Like, I understand that he does have the volatility on a week-to-week basis, and he's playing in the offense that you're chasing to have those spike weeks. It's probably just my lizard brain, but I can't get behind taking Gabriel Davis. Like, I would prefer passing on Davis, taking Travis Etienne or Breece Hall. Like, say you take Breece Hall in the middle of the 5th, and then instead of taking A.J. Dillon in the 7th, instead you end up getting DeAndre Hopkins. You end up getting your choice of Adam Thielen. Like, would you have the combination of Breece Hall and Adam Thielen, Breece Hall and DeAndre Hopkins, or Gabriel Davis, A.J. Dillon? I personally would prefer the better running back and wide receiver combo with Adam Thielen. And then going over to quarterback, Dak Prescott, stacking up with Dalton Schultz. Really like that pick. Melvin Gordon, great pick. Dameon Pierce, kind of whatever. I think he's in the same tier as all these other options. Zach Ertz, great selection as well. I'm assuming you're done at the tight end position after you take those 2 guys. Jalen Tolbert to get the double stack with Dak Prescott. Van Jefferson, great value. Kenneth Gainwell, great value. Donovan Peoples-Jones. Oh, crap. We are on the clock here. Let's go through. Let's figure this out. And we need 1 more tight end. We need 2 more wide receivers. Y'all know I have a KJ Hamler jersey in my room, so we are going to go ahead. We're going to take our guy KJ Hamler, trying to access one of those top offenses when it comes to efficiency in Denver. I think we can safely say that Russell Wilson will be one of the most efficient passers, as we've seen him almost, a decade straight being top 10 in the NFL in adjusted yards per pass attempt. I don't think Courtland Sutton's as good as a lot of people make it out to seem. I don't think that the targets are going to be as concentrated in Denver as they were in Seattle between DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. I think it will be spread out slightly with the combination of Tim Patrick and KJ Hamler also seeing the field. There's upside for more if one of those wide receivers in Jerry Jeudy or Courtland Sutton goes down ahead of him. So I'll be completely fine taking KJ Hamler here. And what we're going to do is in the 17th, we're probably going to go ahead and take a wide receiver or a tight end. And then we will be queuing up our 18th round selection to just fire up another draft. I think we've been getting in 3 or 4 drafts every single day. Like, I think every single live stream, like I told myself, I was like, you're not going to start these live streams until August. I couldn't help myself. We started them early. I told myself, okay, we're only going to do 1 draft on the live stream a day until August. And then we'll fire them up and we 3 or 4 a day going. Couldn't help myself. We went crazy. So now I guess we are locked into doing 3 or 4 of these drafts every single day until August. But like I said, there's nothing I enjoy more than these drafts. Okay, so let's pull this up. We need, I guess, you know what? We're probably not going to end up taking a tight end here. Odell Beckham Jr. ends up going at the 1704. Okay, so I'd imagine here Case-Bone ends up going, if I were them, I'd go wide receiver. I mean, your 5 running backs, Barkley, Zeke, Travis Etienne, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Darrell Henderson, or quarterback. I mean, I think, yeah, you probably could bring in another quarterback there. We're going to go Wan'Dale Robinson quite easily at the wide receiver position. And then we're just going to be queuing up some tight ends. So let me do that out of here so y'all can't see the players that I am queuing up. And then we'll just go ahead and get another draft underway. So this is going to be another puppy draft. Last time I asked y'all what y'all wanted to see. Everybody spammed puppy. Okay, so let me give a shout out to Underdog. They launched this about a week ago. And this is their smaller contest. Best Ball Mania is their big tournament. Obviously, they have the private drafts as well. Look at the entrance. They have almost 53,000 people. 53,000 people in this puppy contest in like a week. And if you don't know how this works, $5 buy-in, 12-team league, first place gets paid, second place gets paid. A small percentage of every league pot is set aside for the tournament at the very end of the season, where you have $75,000 to first, $40,000 to second, $25,000 for third. So some life-changing money off a $5 buy-in. Let's go ahead and let's enter in here. We have, 11 spots open in this draft. So it looks like this is going to be filled with exclusively members of the flock. Oh my God. Now we are filled. The 108, and yes, almost every single name in here I recognize. Almost every single name in here I recognize. This is going to be a brutal draft. A brutal draft. But I guess we'll make it work. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I'm assuming, let's just queue up these guys just in case somehow, some way they're available to us. In reality, they're probably not going to be. We'll queue up our 2 guys we're probably going to draft at the end there, and let's see what happens. And let me check the chat. The Razor says, I feel like A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are a cheaper version of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle with similar upsides. Am I crazy? I'll say you're not really getting that much of a discount on them. A.J. Brown goes like 3 picks after Tyreek Hill. You are getting a discount on Devontae Smith versus Jalen Waddle, but if you look at their respective rookie seasons, oh dear God. Jalen Waddle blows Devontae Smith out of the water in terms of what he actually did as a rookie and how impressive it truly was. Gary says, I'm in the draft. I am a retro G. Thank you, my man, for coming out. You are drafting at pick 5, and I'm sorry that we're going to have to crush you. I'm sorry that we're going to have to crush you, my dude. And Alex says, what do you think of PPR leagues where no tight end slots, just an extra flex? I don't see the point. I mean, fantasy football is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to make you think. It's supposed to create more variables and reward the players that are skillful. I feel like getting rid of the tight end position does the exact opposite of that. He goes, okay, I know it's too hard for y'all to think about tight end. I know it's too complicated. We'll remove it. Don't even worry. I think it's the opposite. I think maybe you should be playing a league where you have to start 2 tight ends and really sit there and think about how you're going to value certain positions. Okay, so CMC falls all the way to the 104. I have seen Justin Jefferson, even not on the drafts in the live stream, but just the regular drafts in the morning that I've been doing. I've seen Justin Jefferson fall more and more. Okay, so let's see if just people see if Travis Kelce goes to pick 7 here just for people to snipe us on the stream. Let's see. No, Eckler goes. Okay, so we are going to get our guy, Kelce. I have so much Travis Kelce this season. It's not even funny. I know everybody has already seen us go out of our way, do everything that I can to get an elite tight end early on in these drafts, given the positional advantage that it gives you in opening up an extra roster spot for a wide receiver or running back. I'm taking Kelce. I'm taking Andrews. I'm taking Waller. I'm taking Pitts. I'm taking Kittle everywhere I can. So Kelce at the 108, not an uncommon start for me. Dakota says he is in 4 drafts right now. Oh, that is brutal. Like every morning I fire up a couple drafts. Like what I'll do is my little routine is I'll go to the gym, get in the I'll get on the Stairmaster, fire up 2 drafts, and I multi-table. I'm on 2 drafts every single morning at the same time. And then from there, when I do my weight workout, I'm in a draft, but I'm only doing 1 at a time. That way I have breaks in between and I don't have to worry about looking at my phone. Okay, so Caden ends up going Mark Andrews at the 112. Corvette says, take Andrews on the way back. I think it's very difficult to start a draft with the combination of Kelce and Andrews. I've tried making it work by starting, say, Mark Andrews in the 2nd and then going Kyle Pitts in the 3rd or Darren Waller in the 4th and trying to create the bully tight end strategy that way and get to a build that we like. It's a lot easier said than done. Okay, so Dalvin Cook, CeeDee Lamb off the board. Let's see where Radius ends up going. He went with a running back in round 1. I would say usually I'd get so excited for Joe Mixon to fall to us to pick 17, saying, oh my God, we got Mixon to fall beyond his ADP. We got a unique combination. In reality, when we reached on Travis Kelce, no, there are going to be a ton of combinations of Travis Kelce and Joe Mixon. I feel like it's, with how much I like Mixon this upcoming season, even if I want, in theory, to take a wide receiver here, I feel like it would be fraudulent for me to go ahead and for me to pass on Joe Mixon for Mike Evans with the 205. So let's go ahead and let's lock in Joe Mixon with pick 17. This is a running back playing behind an elite offensive line. This is a running back that we know can be involved as a receiver. And if you look at the pace of play of the Cincinnati Bengals this past season, there's upside for this offense if they go, hell, we have a better offensive line. Let's speed this game up. Let's get off more plays per game. Let's try to be the Dallas Cowboys. Let's try to be the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's try to be the Buffalo Bills. If they try to do that, oh my gosh, there's more upside we have not even seen. There's hidden upside with the Cincinnati Bengals. Love taking Joe Mixon here at the 205. And real quick, if you want to get into these drafts with us, if you want to support this channel, if you want to have some fun, that's the most important thing here. What you can do is you can go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK when you sign up for Underdog Fantasy. And when you use promo code FLOCK, you'll be able to have some fun in these drafts with us on the live stream or in the public lobby. You can draft whenever you want. And they will also match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. On top of that, you'll get our 2022 rankings, our Dynasty rankings, our Dynasty Rookie rankings, our 2022 Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide. You can find the link in the description. You can find it in the live chat. I know everybody is better. Alex says, did you just call the Bengals offensive line elite? Better, yes, but not elite. If I said elite, poor choice of words. Elite compared to where they were last season. Last season, they were in the gutter. Last season, they were laughably bad. Now they're respectable. Okay, so Michael Pittman, Hollywood Brown going at the 2-3 turn, presumably pushing some value down to us. You have Zachary going with A.J. Brown at the 303. Mike Williams ahead of A.J. Brown. So flocking up, my dude, sets up the Keenan Allen, Mike Williams double stack to get a little bit later on. I don't love this idea to do that because it's going to be very difficult to lock in Justin Herbert, making it to you at the 411. Like if you are, say, picking at the 105 105 is the perfect example. And you want to say, okay, I'm going to reach on Keenan Allen. I'll take him at the 208. And then I can get Mike Williams falling to us consistently in the 3rd. And I can set ourselves up getting Justin Herbert in the 4th. I'm fine with that. It feels like it's just massive reach if we're doing it the opposite way around. Okay, so we have an easy pick. We're going to go with the running back. We're going to go with Javonte Williams or Barkley, whoever they make fall. But if you think about it, the start that we got with Travis Kelce, Joe Mixon, is almost exclusively happening at the 1-2 turn. That's a start with an ADP of a player of 11 in 13. That's almost exclusively happening at the 1-2 turn. We got lucky. Had it pick 8 and 17 instead. So if we can get Javonte Williams falling here, and Javonte Williams usually is going at the 2-3 turn. Oh, that's exciting. Not many teams at all are going to have Javonte Williams when they started Kelsey and Joe Mixon. Top Dog coming out, says best and most fun channel. Awesome time. Thank you, my man, for coming out. And you need to get in a draft with us sometime soon. I've not seen you in one of these draft rooms in quite a while. Okay, so James Conner goes to the 311. Obviously, we want to see James Conner going here. I mean, whenever we start with 2 running backs with Joe Mixon and Javonte Williams, yeah, we need to see some more RBs going off the board, especially when we do not have a single wide receiver yet. Okay, so let's pull this up. We are 4 picks away. Clearly, y'all know who we want. I don't need to say it out loud. And usually when you go Kelsey in the first, even if you reach on Kelsey, you get Mahomes falling to you, because the reason that Patrick Mahomes has an ADP of 39 is that lines up with where Kelsey goes at pick 11. So usually it's Mahomes falling. Not really, because people don't take Mahomes at the beginning of the 4th if they don't have Kelsey. So this is why, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is also one of my most drafted quarterbacks, just because I take Kelsey in the middle of the first a ton, and then I can get Mahomes making it to us in the middle of the 4th. Unless one of these guys just wants to tick me off. Kittle goes to the 403. Ooh. So I think, yeah, every team here has the elite tight end. We do end up getting Patrick Mahomes. Oh, this is the complete opposite of what we did with the last draft. The last draft, y'all know we were going wide receiver early. The value shook out to go running back in round 2, to go running back in round 3. Of course, we are going to stack Travis Kelce with Patrick Mahomes here. So this is going to be probably a 2-5-9-2 build. We're going to have 9 wide receivers on this team, especially when we start Joe Mixon and Javonte Williams in rounds 2 and 3. GA says, seen Javonte Williams falling as of late. Yeah, 100%. Javonte Williams at the start of everything was going at the end of the second round. He was going before Aaron Jones consistently. And now, I mean, if you were to take Javonte Williams over Aaron Jones, people would call you crazy. Okay, so you have some wide receivers going off the board here in middle of round 4. Amari Cooper goes. Oh, not good for us. Not good for us, to say the least. Zeke goes to the 409. Okay, so Rain's out here trying to save our draft, going with the fragile RB build. You have flocking up, my dude, ended up with Justin Herbert to pair with Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. J.K. Dobbins goes to the 412. Okay, so these running backs going off. This is good for us. This is good for us. So the last thing we want to see is Breece Hall sitting there at pick 56. Breece Hall sitting there at pick 56, and I will be pulling my hair out. GA says, everyone pass on Sutton, please. Yeah, we're gonna be in a situation where we're forced to take Colton Sutton over Breece Hall. Oh my gosh, that would be brutal. Okay, Sutton goes to the 502, so I don't have to sweat it. I don't have to think about drafting him. We can just continue living our life, continue having a good time here. Okay, so we are probably not going to take Lamar if he falls. We took Mahomes in the 4th. Take Mahomes in the 4th. Yeah, I'll be willing to take like Brady in the 8th, how we did in the last draft when we took Josh Allen. Like if we have one of those elite quarterbacks falling to us quite a ways. But here I feel like it would be a little bit too rich to go ahead and take Lamar Jackson, especially when we need wide receiver help desperately. Brady says, happy to see the stream is still going. No, thank you, my man, for coming out to the live stream. Okay, so David Montgomery, Gabriel Davis, come on, Eldor, take Lamar. He goes Godwin. I guess we go Juju. I will say, y'all know, historically speaking, I've been too high on Juju Smith-Schuster. Like, I have lost money on Juju Smith-Schuster myself. I have caused other people to lose money on Juju Smith-Schuster. I bought low on him after his horrible 2019 season, going, oh my gosh, guys, he was injured. Ben Roethlisberger was injured. Juju Smith-Schuster is an elite receiver. Remember what he did in 2018? Then he failed in 2019, and then I bought low on him the following season. He failed yet again. And now somehow, some way, Juju is going in round 5. The man got paid $2.5 million guaranteed this offseason. Like, Juju is not a good pick in round 5. Like, I feel like everybody's taking crazy pills, and maybe I'm stepping out of the matrix or something, and I'm finally realizing how Juju Smith-Schuster had 1.4 yards per route run this past season. He's bad. He's bad. We shouldn't be drafting him. But when I will draft him, the only times I'll draft Juju Smith-Schuster is if he falls past his ADP and we have Patrick Mahomes. That is when I'll take Juju. Okay. So we have some quarterbacks here going at the end of the 5th. Lamar Jackson making it to the 5-11. Oh my gosh. You know, Caden was probably losing his mind thinking he was getting Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews paired up together. Okay. Y'all know I love me some Jalen Hurts. I don't think we can take Jalen Hurts here when we need wide receivers. I'm going to go ahead and take Drake London. I like Drake London more than Elijah Moore. Both have horrendous quarterback situations. I guess you can say both of them are going to be wide receiver 2s. I would use the tiebreaker saying Elijah Moore as the speedy slot wide receiver that could end up commanding some volume in New York. Maybe you prefer him in a PPR format, whereas you prefer Drake London in a half PPR and non-PPR, where touchdown upside is going to matter a little bit more. Young Prodigy says, if you didn't have Patrick Mahomes, would you have gone a different route? Yeah, I probably would have gone Brandon Cooks. If I didn't have Patrick Mahomes, I probably do go Brandon Cooks over Juju Smith-Schuster. Joe Burrow goes over Jalen Hurts. Please tell me this is the Jamar Chase team. Okay, so that is the Jamar Chase team. I was going to say, if you are going Joe Burrow over Jalen Hurts in a 4-point passing touchdown format, I cannot get behind that. But hell, if it's a Jamar Chase team, I'm fine with it. GA says, Atlanta's offense is gross. They were running the ball while losing last season. I agree with you, my man. I completely agree with you. Gross offense. And that is why Drake London's going in the 6th. That is why Drake London's going behind Rashad Bateman. That's why he's going behind Darnell Mooney. That's why he's going behind Michael Thomas. He's an elite level wide receiver prospect. If he landed in a good situation, if he landed in Dallas, if he landed in Green Bay, probably a 4th round pick. Okay, Ayuk going at the 701. Clyde Edwards-Helaire at the end of the 6th. Good for us, especially because this is before Clyde Edwards-Helaire's ADP. And when we already have the double stack with Kansas City, I think at some point we do have to stop drafting these Chiefs unless we get a crazy value. So I wouldn't have wanted to take Clyde Edwards-Helaire at pick 80. Okay, let's move this along. Zachary Link. And we have a question that says, who's going to be the number 2 option in Kansas City if we assume that Kelsey's going to be number 1? I honestly think it's a boring answer. I think it's going to be a platoon. I think it will be some combination of Sky Moore, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. And I think Kelsey is going to burn leagues to the ground this upcoming season. I truly think they are going to funnel so much of this offense through Travis Kelce, even though he's going to be 33. Kelce is one of my most drafted players in fantasy football overall, which should never be the case if it's a 1st round selection. Obviously, you should diversify a little bit more. I just think they're going to funnel this offense through Kelce with no Tyreek Hill. Okay, so Hawkinson goes to the 705. Dalton Schultz goes to the 706. It would have been an interesting conversation to potentially go Dalton Schultz. Okay, yeah, so we have an easy pick. We're going to go with DeAndre Hopkins. Taking DeAndre Hopkins here will lower your advance rate overall because he's missing the first 6 weeks. But as we already said, if you just really think through this and go, okay, well, if he's going to lower the advance rate, but we do know he has an elite ceiling near the end of the season, hell, if you do make it to that fantasy football tournament and not too many people have DeAndre Hopkins and all of a sudden he's the player that you need to win that Week 17 game, you're going to be getting an elite asset at a discount for your roster construction with probably a lower ownership overall. So I'm going to consistently take DeAndre Hopkins here, knowing, yeah, it's probably going to mean I have less teams make the overall tournament at the end, but those teams that do make the tournament at the end with DeAndre Hopkins will have a higher ceiling. Okay, so Miles Sanders, Sky Moore go here at the end of the 7th. I guess we can start talking about taking running backs again. If you're just now coming into this draft, I did panic because we had no wide receivers through the first 4 rounds here. We had Kelce in the 1st, Mixon and Javonte Williams in the 2nd and the 3rd, Patrick Mahomes in the 4th. Then we've gone Juju, Drake London, and DeAndre Hopkins. Okay, so let's pull this back up. Dak, Stafford, Lance, best quarterbacks available. Lockett goes to the 801. How dumb would it be for me to just go ahead and draft Dak? The thing with drafting Dak is you do have stacking options later on. Like you can easily get Gallup, you can easily get Tolbert. Dak goes regardless. Radius on the clock. He also doesn't have a quarterback. I wonder if he goes QB here. Stafford at the 804. Okay, so we're going to just load up another wide receiver. I mean, I thought we weren't going to have an option at one, but if we're going to get Christian Kirk here, we're not getting him at a great value. This is at his ADP, but it fits the roster construction. This is exactly what we need, especially knowing that we aren't going to have DeAndre Hopkins for the beginning of the season. And we can assume with Drake London that he's not going to start off as a wide receiver 1 or even a high-end wide receiver 2 right away. Probably an easy selection if we're going to be honest. A young prodigy says, why does nobody care about James Washington in Dallas? He's a solid wideout, in my opinion. Issue with James Washington is A, he's buried, and B, probably more importantly, he goes to training camp, he has a walking boot on. Like, if you're looking at those players that aren't locks to make the roster, you really, really don't want to see injuries. You really don't want to see injuries at this time of the year. Okay, so Russell Gage goes to the 808. DJ says, if you draft 2 quarterbacks in the top 100 picks, will that lower your ceiling? No, based on the predictability of the quarterback position and some quarterbacks, like once you get past Lance, Rodgers, these guys really don't have access to a top 3 finish overall, like Tua Tagovailoa, like Daniel. A lot of those names have no shot at giving you that top 3 finish overall. So most smart drafters that are grinding these out are not only saying it's good to draft 2 quarterbacks inside the top 100 picks, but a lot of them are saying you have to draft 2 quarterbacks inside the top 100 picks. Like if we take Allen, if we take Patrick Mahomes, I'm going to be a lot more lenient saying how I'm fine punting our quarterback too and just letting value fall to us. But a lot of smart drafters are saying, no, it's a good thing to have those 2 guys. Okay, so Chris Olave goes at the 811 by flocking up my dude. Chris Olave went a lot earlier than this in the last draft, didn't he? Okay, Rodgers goes to the 812. I doubt we would have gone Rodgers. Christian Watson goes to the 901. I actually just made a video. This video is not going to come out for a while. Keep in mind, I am about to move in about 3 weeks. Actually, less than 3 weeks now. About 2.5 weeks, 17 days. So I am having to work so much. Like y'all know, I already do these live streams multiple hours every single night. We have a video come out every single day as well. I'm having to record all the videos for whenever I move across the country. We're having to go through and write that draft guide because I'm wanting to get that draft guide out by the end of June for everyone. So I am waking up at like 7 a.m. and working until like 11 p.m. right now, which usually is the case during the fantasy football season, but outside the season, it's brutal. I'm not built for this. Tim says, can I join the draft living in Nevada? I'm sorry, my man. No, I mean, Nevada doesn't do DFS. It's because the casinos there obviously have a lock with lobbies and such. I actually just listened to a podcast about this, but let me look up states you cannot do Underdog Fantasy. We do this every once in a while, but it's not too many. Yeah, the states you cannot do Underdog Fantasy: Connecticut, Hawaii, Idaho, Nevada, Louisiana, Montana, Washington, Delaware, Iowa, and I believe Michigan as well. And Ontario, Canada. You should be able to do it everywhere else in Canada, but not Ontario. Okay, so let's move on to our next one. And also, if you are going, oh, crap, I guess I can do it in Florida. Oh, crap, I guess I can do it in Texas. We can't sports bet here, but I guess I can do Underdog Fantasy. Yes, you can. And you should go sign up right now. You should use promo code FLOCK. You should support this channel. You should have some fun in your life. That's what you should do. And let's go ahead. And if you look at the tiers, how they're breaking down, I think grabbing Kadarius Toney here, who had a yards per route run at 2.2 this past season, up there with only elite level wide receivers, is going to be smart. While it looks like we have the wide receiver situation solved, in reality, not really. We have DeAndre Hopkins, Drake London starting off the year slow. Yeah, we took them for their elite ceiling near the end of the season, but we still need to plug and play some wide receivers here. I think we are comfortable with the running back making it back to us. If not, no biggie. We have Joe Mixon. We have Javonte Williams. Probably some of the best running backs ever. Probably the best combination of running backs I've ever drafted in like the 100 drafts we've done here. At least the earliest combination of running backs I've drafted. Corvette says, can I drive out of state and then draft and still collect from home when I win? 1 hour. Yeah, you can definitely do that. At least I would reach out to Underdog. I want to say definitely. That's a poor choice of words. I would imagine you could do it. I would imagine. I know you can open the app. I just think you can't enter any contest if you're in a state that doesn't do DFS. But I should not speak out of my ass. I don't know. That's going to be something you have to research. I apologize. I should not. PTB says, I'm 16 and I heard there's no age restriction for Underdog. Is that true? No, that is not true. You have to be 18 years old. You have to be 18 years old with Underdog. Okay, so Robert Woods at the 9-12. Yeah, please do not be joining Underdog if you were 16. That would be a very, very bad. Okay, so let's look at this next one. We are going to be at the 10:05. Maybe I miscalculated. Yeah, I think we maybe made a mistake here, ladies and gentlemen. I think we made a mistake. Dallas Goedert ends up going, was that an auto pick? I don't think so, because Goddard was the best available player whenever I was on the clock. So I think his pick beforehand wasn't an auto. Yeah, he ended up going Devin Singletary, which we had Kelsey. We don't need to go tight end. I made a mistake. I thought we were going to get one of James Cook, Devin Singletary, Melvin Gordon, Chase Edmonds making it back. I really thought we were getting that. I guess we're not now. I'm not taking Zach Ertz whenever we have Kelsey. We're going to go ahead and continue to grab wide receivers that could have access to spike weeks. And if we, with our wide receiver core, we have Juju, Drake London, DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, Kadarius Toney, Gallup. There's a small chance, depending on what we do with our next 2 rounds, that instead of this being a 2-5-9-2, this is a 2-6-8-2. Just a small chance. Matt says, just like all these sites, they'll usually let you get your money out, money in. Yeah, no, with Underdog, everything's regular. It's not like Bovada or some crap. Like if you're in an offshore site, you really need to worry about that. But no, Underdog, it's all regulated. That's why you can do it in some states and why you can't do it in others. Like, yeah, no, I would say never. Like, trust me, I get offshore like Bovada crap, like reaching out to us all the time. Never, ever in a million years put a single dollar in a site like that. Please do not. Make sure it's regulated. Make sure everything's above board. Now, I would never even think about throwing money in like a MyBookie or a Bovada. Okay, so Pat Frymuth, Zach Ertz end up going off the board at the end of the 10th. Probably good whenever we have Kelsey. Like if one of those tight ends would have made it back to us near the end of the 11th, probably would have just gone ahead and taken Travis Kelsey. I'm sorry, probably would have taken Zach Ertz. Obviously, we took Kelsey in the first. And I am sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I am sweating. This is why I don't wear a hoodie. I wore a hoodie. I drank a smoothie before we started this, so I was freezing. I was like, okay, we'll throw on the hoodie. And now you can see me physically sweating. Like it looks like I'm shining. It looks like I put some makeup on this giant forehead before we started this live stream. Okay, so we have that running back run. I mean, that tight end run happening here. We have Robert Tonyan and Gesicki going off. Okay, let's move this up. Alexander Madison's off. I would have loved to get Alexander Madison. Ronald Jones is gone as well. So it looks like we're going to go McCole Hardman. We are going to get a triple stack in here with the Kansas City Chiefs. A lot better than where we would have been drafting, say, someone like Sky Moore a little bit earlier on, or Clyde Edwards-Helaire, where we are avoiding just going overkill on one offense. But if it's going to be pick 128, I think it is going to be fine, especially if we go all in on an offense that should be as prolific as the Kansas City Chiefs, or at least that's the expectation when you take Mahomes here in the 4th round. Look at these wide receivers we have drafted straight. Not great names, but we got a lot of them. They're not good, but we got a lot of them. Okay. So Jarvis, Damian Pierce going off after us. I think when we go Hardman, if we get another receiver in the 12th, we're done at receiver with 8. Yeah, because I think we may end up having to get 6 running backs here. Like, I don't think we have an option. And we still need a quarterback and a tight end as well. With that quarterback, tight end doesn't need to be great, but we do need one. We do need one. That's not debatable. If we were to look for stacks, we could get Trevor Lawrence to go with Kirk. We could get Daniel Jones to go with Kadarius Toney. Not taking Mariota. So that's it. Essentially, our stacking options at this point, Trevor Lawrence to Daniel Jones. I actually really like getting Daniel Jones late, though. Okay, so Isaiah Spiller goes at the 11-12. You had Caden coming out, says he has like 80% Isaiah Spiller so far in these drafts. Not reaching on Isaiah Spiller a ton, doesn't take him about 6 picks ahead of his ADP here. You can tell Caden is a big-time Chargers fan. I mean, going after Eckler in every single draft here, he gets Melvin Gordon, former Chargers player, and obviously taking Isaiah Spiller. Okay, Kirk Cousins goes at the 12-01. It would have been an interesting conversation to possibly take Kirk Cousins just based off the value if you would have made it to us at pick 137. Okay, let's figure out what we're doing here. Probably just going to end up going with best player available. And honestly, like I said, I am sweating. I still actually have to record some, I hate to admit this, I have to record some TikToks to send them over to Thomas tonight. And it is about 9:30 p.m. I woke up at like 7 this morning to get stuff going. So I probably am going to have to bounce after this pick. We will go ahead and we'll take Rachaad White. Unless, we're taking Rachaad White. None of these wide receivers are too intriguing. As our running back 3, someone who will have a role in the receiving game. And more importantly, if anything were to happen to Leonard Fournette, then he has some upside. But let me show off the entire draft board. And of course, thank you so much for coming out, being a part of the flock. If you have not done so already, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And if you want to get in some real money fantasy football drafts today, go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK. We do this every single day. You can get into drafts with us on the live stream, or you can just go hop in some drafts in the public lobby. But the most important thing is you'll have some fun while doing so. Find the link in the live chat, find it in the description. That's all I got for y'all. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a great night and a fantastic weekend. Have some fun.